Liu Xiaobo was a literature success born on December 8, 1955. He lived in Changchun and had an intelligent family of 5 brothers. He attended Beijing Normal University, Jilin University, and the high school attached to Northeast Normal University. At 19, he worked in a village in Jilin and later a construction company. He settled in Mongolia from 1969 to 1973 during the countryside movement. He was exceedingly educated along with his Bachelor's of Arts at Jilin University and a Master's and PhD from Beijing Normal University. He gained power through his nonviolent resistance of the Communist Party. There wasn't as much political freedom in China at the time, and he was very much against that. He was the main support, with his followers replicating his actions against his government. People would have received consequences for being outspoken with him, therefore some were afraid to. His power was a peaceful opposition to the Chinese Party through gatherings, riots, protest strikes, etc. 3 of his friends from university went on hunger strike and were held in Beijing's prison with multiple charges against them. He was later sentenced to 3 years of education, and due to his involvement in political activities, he wasn't allowed to take certain examinations. He stood for what was right and had a huge voice for freedom of speech that inspired many to duplicate his patterns. He sacrificed his liberty in an attempt to free the world's most populated country. He had strong beliefs that upheld democracy, and human rights was his biggest discussion and concern. He participated in protests, which gained him respect and allowed more to follow his lead. Later on, there were parades thrown in his honor, and he became exceptionally respected by the Taiwanese society. When he was 61, he went to prison for inciting subversion of state power because he was one of the authors of the Charter 08 Declaration that stood for free speech in China. He also taught as a college professor during his educational days, therefore he inspired and taught many. He was awarded a Nobel Peace Prize due to his long and nonviolent struggle for fundamental human rights in China, and he also happened to be the first Chinese citizen to be awarded the prize while currently living in China. He was president of the Independent Chinese PEN Center for several years and advocated for everyone's rights and political reform. He was punished for it on several occasions due to the lack of political freedom in China. He founded the poetry group known as the Innocent Hearts and has written over 800 inspirational essays. He found himself a powerful voice of opposition by expressing his beliefs that weren't the societal norm. He empowered people through his literature, and his wife was very supportive of him, as well as his proposers. He had many books including No Enemies, No Hatred, June 4th, Elegies, poems, The Fog of Metaphysics, A Nation That Lies to Conscience, Aesthetics and Human Freedom, and even more. He supported students who took action in peaceful protests, therefore he got a lot of support back. He was later honored for his fearless commitment to freedom of expression and freedom of assembly in China. He was a doctoral study program and published books during that period with an educational advantage. Although not many direct effects occurred because of him, he did make an impact on society and inspired many. He had a powerful legacy that led to progress of society due to his long-term movements. In China, they saw free thinkers as a threat, and they sentenced his wife for intentional homicide. He also supported hunger strikes in the act of his cause, and years later he remained in prison and his wife remained on house arrest. Their release remained to be sought, and they were thanked for their advocacy and continuous effort. He was very involved in numerous democratic movements. His memory is kept alive and continued to inspire millions. He was supposed to receive his award at the chair in Oslo, but sadly he was denied to participate. His death really reflected on the government's cruelty and how they put their beliefs over the lives of their own citizens. As he was feeling more and more ill, him and his family were isolated and denied treatment because of their beliefs and call-outs for free speech. He was definitely an impactful philosopher that helped rights activists, and to this day his spirit is kept alive in our hearts.